It's easy to feel like, as a PA, NP, or pharmacist, wealth is some fanciful dream for other people. You might think that you don't earn enough money, or that you'll never understand how to actually do this stuff, or that your student loan debt is so overwhelming you'll never overcome it. But I'm going to show you case by case how we've helped medical professionals exactly like you build wealth, all while reducing hours early, buying a house, having kids, working in notoriously low-paying subspecialties, living in high cost of living areas, and all those other things that you go, I can't do it if I have this, right? These people have executed, have achieved the result, even despite those things. Now, you should have already watched the video on why your student loan debt strategy can actually crush you and cost you $1 million. So watch that if you haven't yet. You should have already watched the video on how you can actually create financial freedom and become a multimillionaire on a 6-figure income. And when I say that, I don't mean 700,000, right? I mean 100, 200K. And you should have already seen the video on how and why you should actually manage your own money so that you can get to a position where you can build those millions without losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in fee drag. If you haven't watched those yet, go back and do that. But if you have already, then I know we're on the same page and I know you're ready to see what this actually looks like in action tangibly with numbers, with examples of real human beings, so you can see how you can do the same thing. Let me start by introducing you to Kelly. Kelly is a primary care PA married to an RN. Now, we all know that primary care or pediatrics are notoriously low-paying subspecialties. And so a lot of people in them immediately go, I can't build wealth, I chose a specialty. Well, Kelly is a perfect example of how that is 1,000% not true. She, again, is a primary care PA, early to mid-30s, as is her spouse, an RN, and they were trying to figure out how to actually create the life that they were after. Now, you can see exact words, what Kelly sent me when she had started our program of, hey, these are our goals. And it's a pretty common scenario, right? They wanted the flexibility to be able to reduce hours when kiddos were in the picture, but they also didn't really want to get stuck working all the way till 65 or 67, and were hoping for some earlier financial independence on the back end of that as well. Now, up until that point, they had been doing some stuff with money, right? You can see here their starting metrics. They had some student loan debt, they had started investing, hadn't made it very far yet, and were only using a couple of accounts to get going there. Now, they weren't familiar with investing math, so what they didn't know when we met is that they were actually projected to have less than 1/4 of what they would have needed to just have that basic standard retirement of working all the way full-time from where they were in their early 30s all the way up to their mid-60s, which just sucks, right? And very clearly not at all what they wanted, as you can see when they said, hey, look, here are our goals. And so we had to do a variety of things here. One of the things we needed to do was completely revamp their investing structure. We changed the accounts they were using, we changed how much they were investing each month, and one of the ways that we were able to do that was by actually making some modifications to their PSLF strategy. We lowered their student loan payment by $600 a month, and then we were able to reallocate that into the investing system to accelerate the process and actually get them where they wanted to go. And so now they're in a spot where one or both of them will be able to reduce hours in their 40s. Remember, they're already early mid-30s at this point. And on top of that, they'll still end up retiring not just multimillionaires, but their projected future assets are actually more than $4 million just in investments. You can see how in literally 90 days, they went from doing some stuff, but not really getting the traction, not on track for even a basic retirement. And now they have a new implemented and automated system. They're paying less for the student loan debt, not only on a monthly basis, but in the long term, but also they've been able to massively increase the flexibility and options they'll have. They'll get the opportunity to reduce hours, and they'll still be in a very strong position on the back end of all of that. Now, I want to show you another couple we worked with who were actually both physical therapists. Now, a lot of us, there's some professions where we're like, oh my gosh, we're going to definitely be making $500K a year. And for most people, when you think of physical therapy, you don't think of that. So in general too, you might kind of put the physical therapist together with, hey, look, we might be earning in the same level as primary care or as pediatrics from like a PA/NP standpoint. And so you might assume, oh gosh, they're not going to be able to build wealth because they're not making $500,000 a year. Well, of course, that's an assumption, right? And there are PTs earning that. But regardless, you might hear that and go, oh, I bet they can't build tremendous wealth. Well, I'll show you. Zach and his wife are actually projected to end their wealth building journey with almost $6 million. So I'll prove you wrong. But let me kind of show you how. Zach and his wife, one of the key things for them is they had a lot of life stuff going on when they met us. They had a baby on the way. They also wanted to buy a house. And if you've ever done either of those things or you plan to in the near future, they're pretty expensive. And so a lot of people have this feeling of like, I am going to put my whole financial plan on the back burner because I need to focus. I need to focus on the baby. I need to focus on the house. And so they ignore the overall money system because they feel this urgent, oh, I want to have money for the baby or money for the house. Well, I will say, coming from someone who's done both the house and baby thing, that temptation is a dangerous one because when you make short-term decisions in total isolation of the big picture plan, you end up in a world of hurt. But Zach and his wife didn't do that, okay? They actually came into our program and said, listen, we want to be set up for generational wealth for this baby. We want to have us in a really strong position. We want to be able to invest for kids. And we want to do the house and do it in a really smart way. And so we help them do that. We actually set them up with one of our preferred lenders for a medical professional loan, which I already told you they were PTs, right? So you might think, I'm not a physician, I can't get a doctor loan. Well, that's not true. There are lenders that include plenty of other medical professions for high earners inside of that loan product. We set them up with something along those lines where they were able to get in for no PMI. If you don't know what PMI is, it's private mortgage insurance where kind of an extra payment tacked onto your mortgage, no real benefit to you, right? It's just an extra fee because you didn't have enough down payment. So they were able to get in for less money down, still not pay any PMI. We actually were able to negotiate that they didn't have to pay closing costs either. Seller covered those. And so their cash to get in was much less. And on top of that, we structured the whole thing to fit into their investing system. So that when they bought the house, it wasn't just, oh, we can afford the mortgage. Great. It was, oh, we can afford the mortgage. But what else is going to happen with our wealth building? That's the key. So again, they were investing, but not at a level that was going to create any kind of freedom. And so we revamped that system, made sure it worked with the new house. And they actually took a similar path. They wanted to have coast fire at 40, meaning, hey, once 40 hits, I'm able to reduce hours, I'm able to take a lower paying job, I'm able to take the sabbatical, whatever, because I have some freedom and flexibility at this point, and all I have to do is earn enough to cover expenses. And so that's exactly what we did. Now again, one of the big ways to facilitate that is maximizing your student loan strategy. And they didn't know that their student loan strategy was not at all optimized. One of them was pursuing public service loan forgiveness, and especially when there's two spouses and one's doing PSLF, the numbers can get confusing. It's very easy to make big mistakes, honestly, and make very small choices that have big implications. So we modified several things for them, one of which being tax filing status, and ended up making a huge change to their overall student loan cost. With the switches we made, it actually saved them $83,000 in total student loan repayment costs and $500 a month, which again, just makes it that much easier for them to build that investing system that's actually going to give them the freedom. Now, we work with folks for 90 days, but as of the moment I'm saying this, Zach and his wife have only been with us for 60 days and have actually increased their net worth by $20,000 already, right? Just inside 60 days with their new investing system and with buying a house. They've already closed. And so these are really, really big numbers to be able to say, hey, look, I'm still able to build the wealth. I'm still able to have the early flexibility. I'm still able to retire how I want to. And I did it all without having to sacrifice things like I want to own a home as well, right? So this is a beautiful example of how someone can actually get help with the house buying process so that when it happens for them, it's a piece of the financial puzzle and not the thing that derails them. which I've seen time and time again, where somebody ends up joining our program 4 months after buying a house or 6 months after buying a house, and I'm looking at them going, oh, but I wish you would have just talked to us first, right? Because this actually is a huge financial mistake, and it's really tough to go back and undo that one. If you've ever bought a house, you know it's a one and done, at least for a few years. It's very difficult to immediately undo. And so this is one of those things where viewing the whole plan in conjunction is what generates the results. Like for Zach and his wife, it wasn't just a student loan strategy. It wasn't just I want a house. It wasn't just I need help with investing. It was everything together that made the life change. And that's the benefit of having a true holistic financial plan and not just looking at it through one single lens at one single piece. If you're a medical professional in a high cost of living area, you might feel like this is not going to work for you, right? I've heard that time and time again from folks in the Bay Area or from places in New York, etc., where it's like, oh my gosh, life's so expensive here. I'll never be able to do this. Well, Bridget is a single PA in a high cost of living area who will just absolutely bust through those beliefs that this is not possible for you if you choose to live in an area like that. When I met Bridget, she was actually doing pretty well with money. Like she was saving, she was investing, she already had a multi-six-figure portfolio in place already, and was like cruising along. She could have honestly coasted on her laurels, and she probably would have arrived at 65, maybe not living high on the hog, so to speak, but she would have done okay, right? Like she was doing some stuff. She had absolutely no trouble whatsoever with financial discipline. She just felt like, I want to actually build wealth, and I don't really know how to do that beyond the basic stuff that I'm already doing. And so we started working together and completely changed everything about how she was doing money and how she was thinking about asset creation. We started focusing on building assets that she would have access to early because with the changes we made, we knew she was going to have the potential to be a very early retiree if she wanted to, and started talking about how to actually accelerate her building wealth while saving money on taxes. Now, Bridget's actually someone who had no student loan debt. And so, again, she could have coasted on her laurels because I meet plenty of people with no student loan debt who then use that to feel like, I'm not doing that bad. I don't have debt like those other people. I was one of those other people, but I don't have debt like those other people, so I don't have so much to worry about. And because Bridget didn't take that approach and actually took money just as seriously as if she'd had $500,000 in student loan debt, she had total life change. Like, for example, from April of 2024 to November of 2024, her net worth increased by $140,000. When we started working together while she was in the program, she was actually single. Since then, she's gotten married. She took like a month off to have this crazy cool honeymoon in Europe. She's kind of a cool person, as you're probably gathering. And actually, she just bought her first short-term rental. She's taking advantage of the short-term rental tax loophole and saving probably 5 figures in taxes from this investment that will now generate her cash flow and create additional avenues for early retirement. So she's a beautiful example of someone who could have just kind of sat back and said, well, I'm using a 401k, I'm using a Roth IRA, I've got money saved, I don't have debt. To me, that sounds like, well, okay. And a lot of people take that approach, but Bridget is a kindred spirit to, honestly, myself, who said, oh, but I think I can do better. Right? I think there's a next level. I think there's more freedom, more abundance that I could create if I lean in. And by doing that, she created outstanding results. And actually, you can see here, this was Bridget's testimonial from working with us. She literally said, my whole life was completely transformed. And that's coming from someone who wasn't doing that bad. And so it's amazing what you can do for yourself if you're willing to lean into this, learn this money stuff for yourself, figure out how to actually use financial freedom as a tool, use your money to create it. The life change that results affects all different layers of everything, right? Whether it comes from just a feeling of quiet peace and abundance to literally day-to-day structure of like, how many hours do I have to work in a day and everything in between. And that's the benefit. Maybe you're watching this and you're like, I'm feeling like I'm doing bad. That's okay. It'll change your life too, right? But maybe you're watching and you feel like, I'm actually doing pretty well. Well, that was Bridget. And despite that, her overall sentiment was whole entire life is transformed. Maybe you don't relate to Bridget because she had a big savings account, a nice multi-six-figure investment portfolio, and maybe you're a brand new graduate just getting started. Well, that is the position that Brienne was in. She was a brand new grad, PA in psychiatry, married to a non-medical professional, and really felt like, I'm not sure what to do. She was trying to utilize a different student loan strategy than most. She also was trying to figure out how to set up retirement and also wanted to reduce hours when kids came. Now, a lot of new grads have this feeling of like, I have enough on my plate, I'm not going to worry about money. Very common. In fact, in my experience, after talking to literally thousands of medical professionals about money, very few people choose to take their financial life seriously in the first 12 to 24 months after they start working. Very few people. I'll tell you, I was one of them, and it changed my life. Brienne is a perfect example of someone who took the same approach of deciding, hey, I'm actually going to go ahead and start taking this stuff seriously now, even though maybe I feel like I don't have to, so that I can get the leg up that I know I'm going to get if I start when I start, like when I start earning, when I start having the paychecks, that's when I start my money journey too. So Brienne was actually using National Health Service Corps repayment program as a part of her student loan strategy, and then we paired it with another strategy. And so for those two things to mesh well, there were a lot of factors. She felt really overwhelmed by the whole process and was paying more than she needed to. So we made a lot of adjustments in terms of payment plan selection, tax filing selection, how and when to recertify income, and ultimately we're able to save her a lot of money in her overall student loan repayment plan. They also were struggling with carrying just that little bit of credit card debt they felt like they could never be free of. We got that taken care of. We helped them from an investing standpoint, not only just revamp what they were doing to create that early flexibility that they wanted when kids would come in the future, but also they were paying unnecessary load fees when making investment purchases that they didn't even know about and didn't know how to avoid. So we fixed that. We also helped them get out of, frankly, an expensive, high fee, high commission IUL or Index Universal Life policy and set them up with a broker so they could rate shop for less expensive term life insurance products where they had instantly 5 options and they could choose the lowest price. That was all in the first 30 days. And inside that 30 days of getting rid of credit card debt, revamping student loan strategy, getting rid of investing fees, creating a new investing system that would actually create early financial independence, and getting rid of those IUL payments and lowering their insurance costs, all of those things came together to create massive impact in 30 days. They were actually able, with the combination of all of that, to increase their net worth by $10,000 in 30 days because of the cumulative effect. Now, again, Brienne totally could have rested on her laurels, right? She's a new grad. Anyone who's been a new grad clinician knows it's hard, and you might be tempted to go, I'll deal with the money stuff later, right? I have a lot on my plate. But she didn't take that approach. And as a result, she'll be exponentially further than all of her colleagues financially because she chose to take advantage of her early years rather than waiting until things kind of got bad for her to go, oh shoot, I think I need a little bit of help here. Now, I can show you more data without the deep dive on what it looks like to implement our systems over the long term so that you can see what the lasting change can be. Of course, being inside a 90-day coaching program will provide you tremendous value, right? And we do. We track every metric the whole time you're inside the program to make sure that we're making objective, measurable progress, right? If it doesn't get measured, it doesn't get managed. But that's not the real value, right? Like what you can do in 30 days or 60 days or 90 days with money, it matters, but it's not life-changing. What really matters is if I implement a new system and I automate the new system, what happens down the line? And so we keep in touch with folks like we've worked with. We like to know how they're doing, what life looks like later on. So I'll share some of the numbers that they shared with us of what the system has done over longer periods. So Caitlin, over a year, net worth increased by $191,000. That again is inside of a year, and that's from implementing and automating our system and then letting it ride. Jessica Net worth increased by $42,000 in 3 months. Total net worth crossed the $400,000 mark. And based on her projections, she actually thought she would do another $100K increase in net worth in 2025. And then Megan just actually passed the $100K mark in terms of net worth. And that was, again, the result of our implemented and automated system. Now, it's hard for a medical professional with student loan debt to even get their net worth to zero, right? Rather than even saying positive 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000. And then you have people like Bridget, who I mentioned, who are way up at the 7-figure mark. But those changes come from having the right system in place and then allowing it to work for you. And that is a lot of what we do inside this coaching program. For every single person that comes in, we have an onboarding system we go through so that we can learn deeply about you, where money's been going, where things are allocated, what your habits are, what your goals are. Then we help you create a system that is completely specific to you, your goals. If you tell us, hey, I want to retire at 67 and I want to work full time until then, cool, we'll help you. If you say you're someone like Reed, a CRNA that we worked with just recently, married to an RN, who said, I want to hit Coast Fire in 3 years. Like, I want to hustle, I want to get it done so we can reduce hours quickly. We helped them do that. And everything in between. It's up to you, right? You're the creator of your future. We just help you make the money get you there. We help with student loan strategy. We'll walk you through all sorts of insurance pearls and tax pearls. But the coolest part is not only do you actually get it implemented in an automated system by the end, it is a true crash course in personal finance. We have guest speakers that come in that teach you on all avenues of personal finance. We have live calls. We have a whole vault of content that's recorded to take you through everything from real estate investing to investing for kids to tax loss harvesting your brokerage account and everything in between. The whole purpose is to empower you so that at the end you feel like, I get it, the money stuff, I got it. Anybody, like I'll walk into any party, you guys talk to me about money, I'm gonna stand confidently here and tell you some stuff because I know what I'm doing. It's to give you that level of certainty in your future. Now, I know not everybody watching this is going to work with us or honestly even going to be able to work with us. This program is really focused on building wealth. And so we do have some pretty specific requirements that you have to meet in order to be eligible. One of which is you have to have a household income that's 6 figures. Doesn't have to be one person, but it just have to be a household income of 6 figures. You also cannot have more than $8,000 in high interest debt. What is high interest debt? Credit card debt, high interest personal loans are the most common types of high interest debt medical professionals have. If you have that, we love you. There's resources that we have to help you clear it, but you can't focus on investing and building assets when you have debt in the background that's charging you way more in interest than you're going to earn in returns. The third thing you have to have is you have to have some starter cash reserves, right? Again, this is really focused on how do we build assets for you? How do we create that freedom that comes from investing? And if we're at the very beginning of creating cash reserves, we have to focus a lot of energy into security, and we don't get to build those assets the way we like to. So those are the key qualifications. I'll tell you, in general, we like to work with people who like to work. Not that you have to work a bunch of shifts, but we like to work with people who are executors, right? Who have a strong work ethic, who go, hey, look, I may not know how to do all this stuff, but you show me the way, I'll get it done, right? Those are our favorite kind of people. I know those are probably your favorite kind of people to work with at your work and your clinical job as well. Well, it's the same thing here. But if you're one of those people, you meet those criteria, you're like, I might not know everything about wealth building, show me the way, I'll get the job done. All you have to do is click below this video and sign up for a call with our team. We'll walk you through some numbers on, are you on track already? If you're not on track, how far off base are we? Are we a good fit? Can we meet your needs? Can we actually do what you want? So if you're interested, click the link below. You can get on with our team and we'll help sort out if it's going to be a mutual good fit. But either way, I hope that you'll use all this information to actually go out, take some action, and start making change in your financial life. Because learned information or knowledge is useless, right? Applied knowledge creates results. So you can learn all day, every day, but unless you go out and actually do the stuff, nothing will change. That's my final parting words to you. I hope this has been valuable, and I'll talk to you soon.